it's Chris Watkin here, and I'm joined by James Hillier, who is an estate agent of many, many years, who actually started his own estate agency back many, many years ago. And then probably 3 or 4 years, that was about 3 or 4 years ago, you decided to rebrand to a EweMove branch. So what I'd want to do is talk about your story as an estate agent and why you decided to rebrand to this brand with a silly little sheep in blue, in green and pink. So Thank you for joining me today, James.
Not at all. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So when did you first become an estate agent, my friend?
I think I was 21 and I'd kind of jumped about, done some corporate banking. I was a postman for a short while, had dreams of being a black cab driver in town. My now business partner said to me, he was working for a small independent, said, why don't you give this a go?
So you were just tasting different things and just seeing what was working?
Trying to decide what I wanted to be when I grew up.
Okay. So you kind of fell into a estate agency like the rest of us. Mm-hmm. You didn't grow up wanting to be one?
No. Does anyone?
No, I don't think they do.
Well, I think my son does.
Does he?
My son does.
But I'm sure you can get that
He'll grow out of that.
Yeah, you've got to. Well.
Yeah.
Get some sense into it. So when did you become an estate agent?
When? I think it was 21 when I was 20.
Which was what year was that?
Shortly after, sorry. What am I now? I'm 38, so
2003?
Yeah, about 2003, 2004, something along those sort of lines. So I had a reasonable couple of years and then it went nuts for a bit.
Yeah, so 03, 04 was okay, then 05, 06, we had a little wobble in 05 for a couple of months and then kicked on a treat 06, 07. So you working for an independent then? Or you started your own agency by then?
I didn't start out, I started my own agency 2008, 2007, 2008, I think I started my...
What made you want to start your own estate agency?
I think it was a case of... To be honest, I don't know really. I'd been working for other people and could see that I could do the job. And I felt a little bit like I was having my wings clipped, as cliched as that sounds, and wanted to...
You thought you could do better?
Yeah, I'd worked for a small independent, family-run independent, which was great. They were lovely people. Cut my teeth there, and then went on to a corporate. And that was like being put back in the box, going into the corporate environment, and couldn't do this, couldn't do that, couldn't push on until the person above me left their job. And then met my other business partner, Robert, who had a corporate estate agency at the time, corporate franchise, and got into discussions with him and went and worked for him for a short while, him and his brother. And he sold out his franchise, sold that one on, and we started Apex and ran from there.
So where was Apex set up? In Bexley?
Sidcup in Kent, yeah, so 2 minutes away. I've just expanded into Sidcup, funny enough. We opened in Sidcup this month, so
lovely.
Gone back home.
So the three of you set up what was it called? Apex?
Apex.
Just as the housing market fell off a cliff.
Mm-hmm. Why not? It's hindsight.
Okay, what was that like?
Difficult. We were fortunate enough where we'd kept the managed portfolio we'd built from the Roberts corporate. So we'd kept hold of that.
Because lettings at that point wasn't considered sexy, so agents didn't want it,
and no one was doing it. There was only 2 or 3 people in our area that were actually even considering letting. So we'd kind of built ourselves a decent hook in the market.
Thank God you kept it, eh?
Exactly that. Yeah, could have been worse.
Okay.
So we kind of traded off that and went solely down the lettings route for a couple of years.
Okay.
Just to
But how bad was it? How bad did it get?
Close. Yeah, there was a couple of months where we cut right back.
What did you learn?
That we could do it was the main thing, that we were good enough to do it. And that you're only again, cliched, you're only as good as your last month. There's no point at that point listing 3 or 4 and then going on to the next month and you've got nothing lined up and you're back to scratch again. So it's kind of taught us that we need to work in front as opposed to just work hand to mouth. We'd gone from being a big fish and literally just people giving us property to going on your own and having to fight for it.
How did it make you feel that you were top dog being an employed agent to basically being a small fish in a big pond?
From an ego perspective, it wasn't great at all. Wasn't great at all. I'd gone from walking into people's houses and having the kind of the chip on my shoulder. Well, you're going to give me everyone sells through me, so I've kind of just got to offer a basic level of service, which, to be fair, back then was pretty much all agents did. And you're going to use me anyway. You go from that to within a couple of months, you're going out, and on the ones that you are actually invited into, you've got to tooth and nail just to get them to consider you.
How long did it take you to realise that you had to take that chip off your shoulder?
Fairly quickly. When you go in and you've got to explain to people who you are, and that you used to be that other company up the road, but you're not anymore, and all of a sudden people kind of lost interest. Because you still have an amount of, use James, he sold my house, he's great, go and have a chat with him. So then you walk in and you've then got to explain, that's when I sold their house when I was such and such up the road. I'm not now, I'm Apex. Well, where are you based? What can you do? What can you offer? And it's like, well, I can do everything everyone else does.
That must have really hurt your pride and your ego.
Very much so. Yeah, very much so. But you learn to park it. Because it doesn't pay your mortgage.
Because I've spoken to a number of agents who were top dog agent at Agent One, went and set up their own agency, be that with the self-employed model or not, as it's almost irrelevant, and it's really affected them.
I had a conversation, a friend of mine, known him for many years, I tried to get him to come and work with us, alongside us, an associate, and he went along the self-employed route a couple of months ago, left a big corporate, and I had that exact conversation. I said, you were expecting people to just call you because you're you, but you were you dressed up as a big corporate. Now you're you as you.
And what advice did you give him?
Not to let it get at you. You've just got to keep going. You just got to keep going, but go in a way where you speak to everybody, let everybody know. It's only really since we rebranded that we have the kind of the marketing team behind us that tell us what we should and shouldn't be doing with regards to things like the social media and stuff like that. There were still people a couple of years ago asking what I did for a living. At that point, I'd owned an agency for 13 years. It's like, well, surely you know what I do for a living. Everyone knows what I do. And I hadn't told people. So I was just saying to him, go out and tell everybody what you're doing again, and just keep speaking to everyone, and just assume everybody doesn't know what you do. That would be the main point for anybody, I think, that's starting out on their own, is just speak to everybody.
So you got through the recession, and you were trundling along quite nicely. When did you and your business partners think, we need to rebrand? What was lacking?
Our ability to compete with the big boys, I think. As childish as that sounds, we were spending all of our money on the portals. It was ridiculous money that we were spending as a one-man band trying to advertise on the EweMove and Zoopla. We were spending our first 2 sales a month were going just on the portals.
So you were spending 4, 5, 6 grand a month on all the portals.
Yeah, and we were only on 2 at the time. So we were on EweMove and Zoopla, and it was costing us 5 grand a month to be on those 2.
So was it purely a cost thing that you think, well, because what does the EweMove, it cost you, was it 12, 13, 1400 quid, something like that?
Yeah, 12.
Was it purely a cost thing that you thought, actually, hold on a second, because you haven't got to give a percentage of your sale of fees away with EweMove.
No.
You have to give them a little license per property sale, but it's tiny. Was it purely a cost thing initially?
When Robert and I started looking at it, for us, we were looking at it, where can we cut back? Where can we save money? What can we do? Because I always look at it, we were following a curve on what agents did, and we were always right at the back. So if one of the corporates did something, we were looking at it going, well, how can we do that but cheaper? And it showed. We had a website built that we thought was fantastic, but it still wasn't as good as, say, a EweMove website, one of the corporate ones. So we were looking at always behind what everyone else was doing. And that used to stick in my throat a little bit, that we were saying we were this, that and the other. The year we rebranded, we were voted number 3 in London, top 5% on the EA Masters, best in our borough. That was the September, and November we painted our shop front pink and came out with sheep. So Rob and I very much were looking
So
at.
you got all those awards before you rebranded. So there was no need to rebrand.
There was, but we were service-wise, we were fantastic, but we were still. I've always been. My mum tells me I don't know why I can't just be satisfied with what I've got. I've always wanted more than what we've got, and I knew we had to do something drastic to push on. We were earning a living, but I could go and get a job working for someone else and earn a living. I wanted more than the living. So
You wanted the nice things in life.
exactly, yeah. And then to an extent, we had them, and people will say that I've always had nice cars, always had nice holidays, and all the rest of it. But it was always a push to get it. So it was a case of I wanted to crack on for the next 5 or 10 years, and then be able to take my foot off a little bit. Whereas I couldn't see that when we were an independent. And then Clinton, my other partner, is very much. He's always looked down the tech route. What can we do tech-wise? What's the next thing? And he came at us and said, because we were looking at some other more localised franchises, and Clint came to us and said, "Have a look at these guys." And mine and Rob's first impression was, "Why would we do that?"
What, EweMove?
Yeah.
Well, it looks like a joke, doesn't it?
Exactly that. And we thought, we can't do it. Why would we do that? We built up this corporate, slick-looking brand, and now I look at it, we looked exactly the same as everybody else. There's another corporate agent in the southeast, very big agency in sort of London and surrounding. The shop fronts are black, their logo's black and red, their name is written in white, and that's exactly what our shop front was. It was all black, name was written in white, logo was black and red. The difference between them and us was minimal, to say the least. So it was.
Would you say that the logo and the EweMove turns some people off, but also certainly attracts an awful lot of people in?
I think it attracts more than it turns off. And we've had people that have come out and viewed with us that went on the market with other agents because they didn't like our brand, but didn't actually look into the brand. They just looked at the branding, and that's not a bit of me. A friend of mine said, you can sell my house, but you can't put a board up outside. Why is that then? I'm not having a sheep on my driveway. No. It's that kind of mentality. But when they kind of put that to one side and look at what we do differently and what we offer, then people get over it quite quickly.
So you went in because you wanted a fresh brand to kick on. You wanted to save some money. But surely by taking their brand on, you were beholden to the EweMove head office.
No. And it was one of the reasons that Rob and I were very keen on it, because Rob had his corporate brand, and I'd worked for him at his corporate brand. Clinton had worked under a corporate for many years, and kind of I knew the constraints we were under when we were franchised previously, and it was, they used to send someone down once a quarter who used to sit there and say, I guarantee if I came out on valuations, you'd get 2%, and if you do this, this and this, you'll get 2%. Why are you not getting higher fees? You're doing this, that and the other. And every time he'd say, well, come out with us then. No, I'm not allowed to come out with you, but if you do this, you'll get it. That kind of posturing. And we were very aware we didn't want to go back to that. We'd been our own bosses for 13 years.
Once you've run your own business, it's really hard.
Yeah.
So would you say that the EweMove, Nick, Neil and the team, do you feel that they're above you or underneath you, supporting you?
Very much underneath us. Yeah, it was, again, one of the drivers for us that we didn't want to be governed. We didn't want to be told what we could and couldn't do. Within reason, don't get me wrong, I can't go and change our logo, and if I want to have some advertising
Would
done,
you want?
no, because it works.
What's the biggest problem they've solved, apart from having a great brand, having a great IT system, and supporting
You've answered your own question. what more problems do you want me to give you? We're very good estate agents, and we run a decent business. I have no idea when it comes to marketing, aside from how you market a house. I've never been a marketeer, so I now don't have to be. I don't have to keep my eye on all the constant legislation changes, especially with the letting stuff, because as and when it does change, we get an email straight away saying, right, this has changed, we now need to do this, this and this. The system doesn't allow us to fall down. Aside from that, I'm saving 4 figures every month on what I was initially outlaying.
And you believe their marketing and their famous IT system actually helps you generate more business. And
Yeah.
But how did it change? Because the EweMove model is very much on the personal agent approach, which is one person deals with someone from start to end, negotiating viewers, offers, everything. Were you doing that in your previous?
No. And
Was that hard to change?
yeah, it was one of the big things for us, and now it's one of the things that we go out and push as much as we can because no one else does it. Aside from anything, when we're out, we're sitting in front of someone and they've had an experience, a valuations manager or whatever go out and
Whatever title they're called this week.
exactly that. Yeah, exactly that. That's the minute they sign their contract, they're paid their 3% for listing or 5%, whatever they're getting for listing. You'll never speak to them again. You'll then be passed on to the 21, 22-year-old. That's not derogatory in any way, shape or form, but you'll be passed on to the trainee neg in the office, if you like, that I'm not saying he's not going to give you as good a service or is not going to provide a service, but it won't be as good as mine.
Are you enjoying the job more because you're with someone from start to finish?
Yeah, because I'm now not... How can I explain it to you? Yes, I am. Yeah, in answer to the question. Yeah,
Why?
I am. I feel like I'm doing it with people. Again, it's going to sound cliched, but you're actually helping someone to do something rather than just I'll stick a board up outside and stick you online.
Are you happier in you as a person? Because
Yes.
let's be honest, you've got your family and your work, and they're both important pillars. Would your family say that you're a happier person?
Yeah, very much so. You can't do this job and do it properly without enjoying it. Otherwise, you just become
Were you not enjoying it before?
No.
And do you genuinely put that happiness down to the fact that you've started a EweMove franchise with their support and guidance?
Yes, if I'm honest, yeah. I think because a lot of the stuff that used to worry me when we were an independent with regards to the business side of things, the legislation side of things, the constant changing and trying to move forward, I couldn't focus on generating and doing new business because I was having to work out some new wording to go on the website or make sure our details were compliant and all that kind of stuff. Even things like paying rents. On our managed portfolio, I now don't have to do that, which used to tie me to my desk for, I'd say, probably 4 to 5 days a month as a minimum. When you look at the hours that I used to spend paying it, I'm now free of that.
And just to confirm, if anyone's watching this, say they run their own estate agents and they just feel part of the vanilla mix, talk to me about the branding, because again, a lot of people are put off. I want to just revisit that. Is it a positive or a negative?
It's very much a positive. It's a Marmite brand. It's a Marmite brand. At first, when there was 3 of us went up to Cleckheaton, which was a pain. When we went up to have our initial meeting, and that was I'm not coming up here every month to have a meeting or whatever. Driving up there, and Rob and I were very much, well, this is going to have to be a bit special to convince us. And Clint was like, just clear mind, no agendas, go in there and listen to what they got to say. And by the time we came out, we were trying to decide where we were going to have the artificial grass in our office and what shade of pink we would do in the front of it. So it was, we've completely changed the look of the office. It's now, people come in and go, it's really nice in here. We had a parking on the front. I've now converted that to decking, and we've got artificial turf out there. People thought we were opening a cafe at one point and we were going to put tables out there.
Maybe you should.
It's been considered. We looked at having a huge Christmas tree. We do our window every Christmas. I have it all done. It's the same as our Christmas cards this year. I have it all contra-vision so it looks nice. And we considered having a huge Christmas tree up and having some carol singers. And you've then got to go down the route of insurance and all that sort of stuff. It's more ag than it's worth. But yeah, from a brand perspective, we'd been in our office, I think, for 3 years when we rebranded in our Bexleyheath branch. We'd moved over from a different high street to the main strip. And it was black. We had our parking out the front. It was a generic that the shop next to me was black.
Like every other estate agent.
And the 3 or 4 shops in our parade were all black. So we just blended in. The day we opened, the marketing guys had just gone. They'd just done our video on our launch video and stuff. They'd just gone. And when a gentleman walked in the office and he said, I'm thinking of selling. Can you come and value next week? So we went and valued it, got it on the market. It's a $5,000 fee. And we said to him, just out of interest, why did you come in? He said, well, I like to help new businesses out. He said, I wanted to help. Well, we're not new. We've been there 3 or 4 years already. He said, I'd never noticed you. So I walked past the office twice a day because he walked from his house to the gym, which is over the other side of the road. He said, I walked past twice a day every single day and I'd never noticed you before. And just off the back of the £1,000 we spent having the shop sprayed, we'd earned £5,000 back. And it's just little bits like that. When that happened, we knew we'd...
So people's fear about the brand, you're saying it's Marmite, it will put some people off, but it generates a lot more, and it means you're not a cookie cutter vanilla.
Exactly that, yeah. People say to me, what's different? What's different between you and X, Y, and Z agent? And I kind of look down at the folder I've got on the table in front of them and look back at them, and it answers its own question. It's made a massive change the way we have to do business.
And let's start to finish this interview. How's 2020 been for you as an agent with COVID, and what support have you had?
From an agency perspective, I always feel guilty saying it because some people have had a rubbish year, but for us, it's been my best year in nearly 20 years of agency by far.
Okay.
By far. The initial lockdown was, we all went into panic stations and we sat there and the three of us had a meeting. It was like, right, let's tell all the staff they're all good, they're fine, we've got our management money coming in, they're all, as long as everyone pays their rent at some point, then they're all good. So everyone was reassured they were getting paid. And it was like, right, what do we do now? And then we got an email through from head office, booked us on a conference call, or booked us on a video call, and it's like, right, you need to continue doing the marketing, but just take away any sales of the marketing. It's just purely an awareness thing. You're just telling people that you're there, offer a bit of assistance if anybody needs it. We could still go out and about travelling for work and stuff if we wanted to. So we did a couple of shopping drop-offs and bits and pieces for people, just around local kind of community stuff. We shared some posts from the local council and stuff like that, just letting people know that we were about, and it grew our brand to a point where people that didn't know us then did know us.
That's what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah, very much so. Very much.
And
so.
what does the future hold?
We're looking to take on some new territories again next year. We've opened another 2 since first lockdown ended. We'd like at least another 1, maybe 2 next year. I always said I wanted 1 a year, but we're 3 years in, and I've got 4. Or we've got 4. Sorry. So we're looking at another couple next year, hopefully.
Good stuff.
Just keep going the way we're going. Just keep building our brand and our reputation.
Final question, James. What would your message be to any small independent estate agents who are looking to kick on and potentially use the EweMove brand as that vehicle?
My message to any small independent agents would be to give it some serious consideration. Don't look into it. Look in depth. Look at speak to some of the franchisees, see how they're getting on, and take note of what we do differently, what we offer, what's being offered from EweMove as opposed to what's offered under the other franchise and self-employed models.
Excellent. Thank you for your time today. Can I just confirm that neither you nor EweMove have paid me to do this video? All videos on the Watkin sofa are completely free of charge to the person sat there. I just love to interview people, and I'm a huge believer in the self-employed model for the right people, and it has to be the right people.
It's very much so. Yeah,
it's not for everyone.
So. No, not at all. It's very different.
And thank you for your time, and thank you for sharing your thoughts.
Thank you very much for having me. It's much appreciated.